on Friday over foreign policy stuff. What's this a picture of?
Europe.
Yeah, Europe. This is not to scale.
Got the boot.
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't very good.
Looks like a hand doing a duck.
Portugal and Spain. What's Portugal and Spain look like?
Portugal is a sliver cut out of Spain right there.
It looks like
Piece sticking out.
looks like a face, a guy running, like the Mercury guy, because his hair is flowing back behind him.
Right.
Anyway, here's England. Here's France. Netherlands or Dutch or whatever you call that.
Poland right
Then
there.
there's Germany and Poland.
Italy on the boot.
Yeah, got Italy down here, Austria, Italy, all that stuff. The Axis powers in World War II. Who was the Axis powers?
Germany, Japan.
And Italy was in there for a little while.
Mussolini was a coward, but yeah.
Yeah. Y'all stay with me here today. You can use the cocaine later, don't use it right now. You got Italy, Germany,
Turkey.
Italy, and then Japan over there. Early on in the war, early 40s, Germany's bombing the crap out of England. They had taken over France. Don't need your phone right now. I got you covered. They stopped for some reason. I don't know why they stopped, but that meant England could survive. If they had kept bombing much longer, England would have been done. They turned around and decided to go attack Russia in October. Why is that stupid?
Because Russian winters are really cold.
There's cold and then there's Russia and Alaska. All right, that's different than cold anywhere else. You can go to Buffalo, you can go to Green Bay. That's not Alaska and Russia cold. So Germany turned and started fighting a war that was called the Eastern Front. What happened on June 6, 1944? June 6, 1944. Y'all know that one. D-Day. The Allies attacked France, which was Germany taking over France, and they pushed through and eventually made it to Germany in 45. The Russians pushed the Germans back. Come on, piece of garbage. I don't know why I did this. Why I made this stupid thing. And they met in Berlin. What's Berlin? Capital of Germany. Right? Got Berlin here. What was the Berlin airlift?
It's when troops would fly over Berlin because they had the wall and drop in food and stuff for people.
After the war was over, all this area here became what? Soviet Union, communist. All this part, for the most part, was free. Now, when you fight wars today, we have computers. We go, and we send a missile to this office through this window and blow this office up. How'd you fight a war back then?
Trenches.
You had, well, that was World War I. You had bombers full of bombs, and they went, ah, and just blew up a whole city, hoping to blow up this office. So all of France, Germany, Eastern Europe, these were all destroyed. Cities were in ruins. The economy was collapsed. We'll get into that later. But all this area here turned to communism. What's horrible about communism?
The lowest class of people have no chance.
Well, that's the appeal to it. The worst thing about it, okay, all of y'all, no matter where y'all are at or what y'all are doing, you have a chance to be something you want to be. No matter how old you are, where you're at, there's an opportunity for you to be successful. There's no guarantee you'll be successful, but there's an opportunity for you to be successful. Y'all agree? In communism, can you be successful? Is there opportunity for you? No. There's a ceiling. There's a limit. And you're going to get a percentage of your share of whatever's out there. No matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, you have to remember the Communist Party, you get extra. But if you're not, most people, 95% of people, just get what's left over.
You're gonna get told what you're gonna do too.
Yes. It's an existence. It's a guaranteed existence. But there's no opportunity. I've already told you this, when is communism invited in?
When it's the free stuff.
When things are crap, when things are in the toilet. And if you have nothing, you welcome communism because you're going to get something. So, we'll get to that later, but all this stuff fell to communism. They did what was called the Warsaw Pact. What was that? Warsaw was the capital of Poland. What was the Warsaw Pact? It was a military alliance that all these Soviet countries said, if somebody attacks one of us, we'll all come in and help. So the military alliance. NATO was the free country's response to that. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was all the free countries, Western Europe, America, probably Canada thrown in there. It was their answer to the Warsaw Pact. If somebody attacks us, one of us, the rest of us will come and fight. That's a good thing, but what did that ensure would happen?
Conflict.
World War III. Just like World War I was caused by the alliances. One little pipsqueak guy gets murdered. I'm not saying that's okay, but that's what triggered most countries in the world to fight each other. NATO exists today. NATO troops are in Afghanistan right now. Russia is a member of NATO, which, when you hear that, it doesn't, for my generation, didn't make sense because Russia's the reason NATO exists. But anyway, it's a military alliance, is what NATO is. Warsaw Pact's not there anymore, but it is a military alliance. When you hear NATO troops, you'll hear that every once in a while. And it's just all these member countries, they send troops and it's a little club.
Which we pay for.
Yep.
And fun.
Because we can. When we go out to eat, my roommate pays for it. If we go over to see him, he goes, let's go eat somewhere to eat. He doesn't go to CC's. We did lunch with him. We went to CC's. He goes to like restaurants. They have menus and stuff. And he pays. Why does he pay? He makes $300,000 a year. We don't. So I'll offer me. No, we got it. He knows where I'm at. He knows. He's bought cars for me before. He's seen. He knows. Oh crap, wrong. All right, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. I'm hoping that doesn't go upside down. I did it. Every once in a while I put it on the computer and it's like sideways, but then I tried to flip it and it worked, but then it was upside down the next day, so I don't know what to do. What does the CIA do?
Gather information.
About who? Other countries, that's right. They keep track of what other countries are doing. They are our spy network. Yeah, do we spy on our friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Who are we spying on probably most now? We're still spying on Russia. Because they're the foundation of evil around the world. Everywhere any problem you scratch, you're gonna find Russia. Syria, Iran, North Korea, Russia's all in there. Russian nuclear bombers landed in Venezuela 2 years ago. When all that crap was really blowing up. Where do you think the Soviet, when I was a kid, it was the Soviet Union. That's where they spent most of their time and resources. it was relatively easy to do that. Because I look like a Russian. They look like us. They can learn their language. Their culture is really similar to ours. It's a European culture. Now parts of Russia is in Asia and stuff, but you go to Moscow, it's New York, it's Chicago, it's Dallas. What are they having to do now?
The internet.
ISIS. Yeah, they have to do computer stuff, but ISIS and Al Qaeda. Is it as easy to infiltrate and get somebody into ISIS as it was to get somebody into Moscow? No. There's a whole cultural thing. There's the look thing. There's the language thing. So it's a tough gig. Is there a corruptness to the CIA? Are they spying on Americans? Yeah. Yeah, they are. Is there Al Qaeda and ISIS in America? Yeah. So they're still they're probably spying on me, especially after this stuff goes out there. I'm going to make a statement later. I forgot what it was. Hopefully I'll remember it. But if y'all hear the helicopters, the big black helicopters tonight, you'll know they're coming to get you. Well, they're heading up towards the water tower. That's weird. Oh, that's the CIA. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Thank you, glad y'all laughing. All right, you got the State Department. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a statement about the United Nations. That's what I thought. That'll get it. The State Department. What is the State Department a part of? What branch of government?
The executive.
They're a part of the executive.
Serve at the pleasure of the president.
And the president is ultimately responsible for them. Coach Cook is the athletic director. He is ultimately responsible for volleyball. He does not coach volleyball. He had a hand in hiring Coach Hogan. He coaches volleyball. But Coach Cook is ultimately responsible for volleyball. If Coach Cook, I don't know that he ever coached volleyball. Wouldn't surprise me if he ever did. Knowing him, I'm sure he knows everything about the history of it and how to do it. The president is ultimately responsible for the State Department. Some presidents have foreign policy experience, and they're going to be very hands-on and really involved with it. Other presidents don't. If I was president, I would have nothing to do with foreign policy because I don't know it or understand it, and I can just mess it up. Because I'd walk in every time and look them in the eyes and shake their hand, and you don't do that in every culture. I would hire professionals who know that to handle that, and I would just tell them, hey, here's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see this happen with this part of the world, and this happen with this part of the world, and let them go out and do it. So you have a Secretary of State.
There'd be a war and coach would get both leaders in the same room and be like, figure it out.
I would, if I was in charge of it, we'd have the three ring circus. We'd have the run a quarter or do push-ups. You'd have the intelligence test. Then you'd have to pick something out of the bag and play, I don't know, shoots and ladders or something. I don't know, just to solve all the comp. I'd rather solve stuff that way. Not shoots and ladders. That's just a dumb game. It's a dumb game. Why did the stupid shoot? I made it to here. Why did I get to that? How does Titan beat me? Because he just happened to go over that. Plus he can't count. He always skips them. Hit every square. Secretary of State answers to the president. President is ultimately responsible for dealing with foreign countries, so therefore the president is the chief of state. President is the athletic director, even though they don't coach volleyball and basketball and baseball. As the head of the executive branch, the president is head of the State Department. And what are they in charge of?
Department of Defense. Very right.
Diplomacy. Diplomatic relations,
General to Diplo.
which is negotiating with foreign countries. Now, diplomatic recognition. You know what diplomatic is? It deals with foreign countries. Recognition is, oh, I know you, I see you, I know what I feel about you. Diplomatic recognition doesn't mean we're friends with you. It means we have a relationship with you. So the State Department is in charge of diplomatic recognition. We have diplomatic recognition of Russia. We're not friends with them, but we have diplomatic recognition. We have diplomatic recognition of England, France, I think over 200 countries. It means we recognize you as a legitimate government. I misspelled it, it doesn't matter. We recognize China as a legitimate government. We're not friends with them, we have a relationship with them. There's an embassy there. We have an embassy there. We're going to negotiate with you. We're going to talk with you. We're going to go back and forth with you. We don't have diplomatic recognition of North Korea. We don't have diplomatic recognition of Iran. We don't have an embassy there. We don't directly deal with you. We deal with you through other countries. So diplomatic recognition, we actually have a relationship with you. We have an embassy there. We talk face to face with you. And we'll throw something else in there. Most favored nation status. State Department also is in charge of giving countries this title, or whatever. We're going to get to grocery shopping later on this year, because that's extremely important. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do, to not waste food money, because you don't have tons of food money. You got to spend food money. When y'all go home, you open up the pantry, it's full of food. What do y'all say? We have nothing to eat in here. You know, so, yeah, you might have to cook it. But I can't microwave it. That doesn't mean it's not food, you know. We don't go to Brookshire's all the time because it's expensive, but sometimes we go there. You know the penny sales they have? You ever been around? They set up the penny sales. You might save some money there, but they jack the price of this thing up, and then you buy two of them. It might be saving money if you normally bought two, but it might save a little bit. But even if you do save some, grocery stores will lower the price of this thing, gambling that you're going to buy this, this, and this with it. And they got the price jacked up with that. They might have hot dogs on sale. Guess what's not on sale? Buns and mustard. And, you don't put ketchup on a hot dog. No, you don't. Not if you're like an adult human being. You don't put mustard. I mean, you put mustard on a hot dog. That's what goes on a hot dog. Ketchup, maybe a hamburger. French fries, yes, but not a hot dog. It's not. You don't put ketchup on pork chops. So I got a lot of work to do. But I know when you go, if I ever go to Brookshire's, they say, do you have a rewards card with us? I said, I don't know. I'm sure we do. And they said, well, try your phone. So I'll give little Christy's old phone number, and yeah, it works. So that's like a special deal that people have. Not everybody does that. I guess everybody could. Most favored nation status is a special deal we give to countries that is our pals. They're our best friends. Most favored nation status. And we give them special treatment. I've heard of businessmen and people that travel a lot. They can go through something and then they don't have to go through security when they go to the airport. It saves them a lot of time. That's kind of what this is. We don't make them do everything, or we trust them. They're special. Mitchell, when he comes to the house, he don't even knock anymore. He just walks in. He gets to do that. That's fine. If I'm naked in the kitchen, that's on me. During football season, during fifth period, it gets kind of hot. And so when I get home, I'm gonna change clothes and I don't take a shower yet. So I might be standing in the kitchen in my underwear because I'm by myself. It doesn't bother me. When Cole was a senior, Cameron would come over. And one time, I'd usually time it to where I wouldn't be in the kitchen when I knew somebody else was coming over. But one time, he comes in the kitchen and I'm sitting behind the little counter thing. I'm like, what's up, Cam? Well, I didn't walk that way and I just walked this way and I wouldn't change clothes. Anyway, yeah, Mitchell has the most favored nation status. He can just walk in. He didn't even ask. He just walk in. I'm like, it's fine, it's no big deal. Todd's always in his underwear, so that doesn't matter. Okay, the War Powers Act of 1973. What important world event that was going on, not in America, but America was heavily involved in, is going on in 73? It's dying down. Okay, yeah, it was going on.
Vietnam War.
Vietnam was ending. So Congress put this law through called the War Powers Act. Vietnam started out as a civil war, and the French had Vietnam as a colony, and the Vietnamese people rose up against them, and then eventually turned in the communists coming in to try to take over, and it was the war between the Vietnamese, actually between the communists, who was part China, a little bit of Russia, and some Vietnamese people against Vietnam. We sent some advisors there. We sent more advisors there. We sent some troops in. We sent more troops in. And then after a while, it just got out of hand. The War Powers Act of 1973 told the president, you can send troops out. You're allowed to send the military to different places. You're allowed to do that. What are some reasons the president sends troops out? What's the obvious reason?
To fight.
To kill people. Sometimes the president sends troops out to kill people. Sometimes the president sends troops out to help people. So it's not always just blow people up and kill them. When y'all were little babies, when y'all were first born, President Bush sent an aircraft carrier to Indonesia because there was this huge tsunami. It's one of the first times I'd ever heard of a tsunami. It's an earthquake and it wiped out just miles and miles of islands in Indonesia, killed thousands of people, and they needed help. Well, some very enlightened actresses, actors, singers, I don't know how all these people get so, they're experts in everything, you know. They have a lot of opinions about stuff. I remember them they'd go on the news, what an idiot president we have. What kind of idiot would send an aircraft carrier where a tsunami happened? Well, the idiot that knows that aircraft carriers can desalinate water, which means it takes ocean water, turns it into drinking water. They have a hospital in there where they can fix people's bodies. They got cafeterias that fix thousands of meals. It's probably the best thing, probably the easiest thing. It's a Walmart for tsunami victims. It's got everything. All right. We send troops out to help a lot of times. National Guard. If you join the National Guard here in Texas, when are you going to get deployed?
Hurricane season.
When there's a hurricane or a tornado, you're going to help clean up. You're going to help the people there. So there's a lot of reasons we send troops out. This act said, President, you can send troops out, and it might be 90 days, it might be 3 months, it's 60 to 90 days, I don't know which one. So no questions asked. President, you can send troops out. After this time period, Congress will look at this and say yes or no to paying for it. So the president has the leeway to send troops out for whatever reason for a couple months, and after that time, Congress will check it out and say, we're not doing that anymore. Or yeah, we can continue doing that. So it's the best of both worlds. It gives the president, if it's an emergency situation, you can send troops out, but then it gives Congress the Mother May I deal. They can check it out and make sure it's all right. What's the legislature? House and the Senate. It's Congress. Got the president, you got Congress. Legislative branch, executive branch. The president can send troops out. Is that part of foreign policy? Yeah, if we're sending troops into your country, that's a foreign policy deal. President can also negotiate and write treaties. That's really the State Department doing that, but the president's ultimately responsible for that. What powers does Congress have over sending troops out and writing treaties? Are we going to continue paying for this? And there's another big one they get to decide, the president does not get to decide. War. We do not allow a single person to decide we're going to war with that country or this group. Congress can declare war, the presidents can't. What ended World War I? What treaty? Versailles. President Wilson wrote that treaty. He wrote the Treaty of Versailles. He came home, Congress refused to sign it because they didn't want to be a part of the League of Nations. They didn't want to be a part of Europe's problems anymore. So yes, the State Department and the President can write these treaties and come up with them. Only Congress can sign or agree to the treaties. The President is not allowed to sign a treaty.
I know you said we're not supposed to be starting, but 40 years ago today, the 52 Americans were released.
Was it today? Don't Yep. They were released, yes. They were released because Ronald Reagan became president, and they were released the second Reagan became president for two reasons. They were scared of Reagan, but they also wanted to embarrass Carter. We'll get into that. Carter allowed the Shah into the country, and they hated President Carter. So just to humiliate President Carter, they wanted to release them. They didn't want to even have them. But we'll get to that, I think, tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Or maybe...
I hear they're doing nuclear tests near American troops again.
Not with their knowledge. Last one was with them. Hey, look, we're going to blow up a nuclear bomb or give you some sunglasses. How about that? Okay, yeah. You know, they won't do that anymore. We redid that. We marched them in there. Oh, okay. There you go.
Can I go to the restroom?
Go rest. All right, the United Nations. Have y'all heard of the United Nations? You don't hear them as often as you used to. The UN's located in New York. It's where it was after World War I. I'm sorry, after World War II. Late 40s. They wanted, it basically was the League of Nations, but we joined it. It was to have a place where countries could go and talk and not kill each other. Talk out problems, negotiate problems, don't fight a war. Here's the controversial comment that I think probably could get the helicopters whirling around paradise. The UN, I think, used to be a legitimate organization. Today, it's turned into a group that is anti-democracy, and its goal is to redistribute wealth. It's not fair that this country is poor and this one's doing good, so we're going to fix that.
It really knows you.
The 1940s, 1950s, 1960s UN, I'm not an expert. I think they were really good. Today, I really don't give a crap about them. I'm not sure they're really doing what they're supposed to be doing. But anyway.
It's just as bad as the European Union. It's just a bunch of...
Yeah. Well, the problem is human beings. If you let human beings be in charge of anything, they're going to ruin it. You know, robots are not the answer. But anytime human beings get involved with anything, they jack it up. There is the General Assembly. Y'all are smart kids. What do you think the General Assembly is?
Big group of people.
It's all the member nations meeting. It's like Congress, kind of. All the member nations representatives. I think there's like 200 and something, either 198 or 202.
Have you ever done mock UN or heard of it?
No, but I was around it.
It's
Austin College was huge at Mock UN, so it seemed interesting. That'd be pretty cool. I know Hank Hill did it. No, yeah, King of the Hill did it. Did King of the Hill do it? I think they did. I don't remember. What's member nations representatives? It's kind of like the World's Congress. And they will get together and they'll vote on stuff. Let me tell you what really turned me off the UN. When you allow countries like Iran and Cuba and Venezuela to be on and China to be on the Human Rights Committee, that makes no sense. It's like me being on the Communist Committee or, the Fashion Committee. That makes no sense whatsoever. There's also the Security Council. This is the group that everything goes through before it goes to the General Assembly. And if they don't allow it to go through, it doesn't go through. This is a very powerful group. They run the UN, the Security Council. They're like, it's not really a president, it's not really a dictator, but it can't go to them until it goes through them. And there are 5 permanent members of the Security Council. There's other members that rotate off and on, so everybody has a chance to be there. What do you think the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council are?
France, USA, Russia.
Yes. France, US, Russia.
Italy.
China, and England. Now, late 40s, after World War II, are there 2 countries that you could probably say, well, they kind of deserve to be there? Missing. Who's missing? Germany's not there. And what else? Japan. It's after World War II, so those 2 countries were not allowed in there. These countries have veto power. If anything that goes through the Security Council has to be unanimous from these 5 countries. I think that's stupid. Because you look up here, I think it ought to take at least 2. Because this allows the US or Russia or China to say no to something. I forget how long ago it was. Several years ago, the world was deciding, should we allow Iran to have nuclear weapons? No, Contral, that's not what it was. It was should we allow them to have uranium to have nuclear power? No. No. That's what they told you. If the Joker says he wants this machine gun for art, no, it's the Joker, okay? Iran says they want nuclear power. That's not what they want. That's the byproduct. Russia vetoed that resolution to not let them have the uranium. Why did Russia veto that? They were the ones selling the uranium to Iran. That's called a conflict of interest. That's called I recuse myself from this because I'm personally involved. But you have to be a decent human being to do that. Therefore, Putin and his government was not going to do that.
Well, we were going to veto it anyway, right?
No, it was a resolution to say they can't have this.
Oh, okay.
They allowed them to have it. But we was going to say, no, you can't. But Russia said, no, we've allowed them to have. They just want nuclear power. They just want to watch TV. The cartoons, like as you say in America. Ha ha. Yeah. All right. Now these next two things, I really know nothing about. But I think I could fool you on that because I know a little bit about all these little things. The World Trade Organization. Take a wild guess what they're about. Trade. The World Trade Organization, they are a club, and countries join the World Trade Organization. You got Ritz? Man, that's the ice cream of crackers, isn't it? Ritz are just so good. Man, they are good. You know what I try to do with them? I try to just get one and just hold it for a while. And I'm like, no, stop, no. I mean, it takes you about a minute and a half to finish the whole sleeve of them, and I feel like crap. They're so good. They try to promote trade and build the economies of nations of the world. So it's like the Chamber of Commerce for the world. What is the Chamber of Commerce trying to do? Promote your city's economy. Does the Chamber of Commerce, let's say I own a store in Paradise. What's that? Promote trade and economics, the economies of countries. If I own a store in Paradise, would I like to promote more businesses coming to Paradise? Yeah, I do. Because more businesses mean more jobs, mean more people, means more business for me. Does that make sense? So if the United States joins this and donates money to it, pays their dues, we're trying to help build the economies of other nations in the world, really so they can buy our stuff. Or we can buy their stuff. It helps our economy for their economies too. Now you got the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Talk about not knowing something about something. The International Monetary, what do you know monetary means? Money. It's an account where they loan money out to countries around the world to help build their economies. So you can get a loan, maybe not you, but this country can get a loan. Members of the WTO pay their dues in, and part of it goes to that. I 98% believe the World Bank is where this International Monetary Fund is. If you go somewhere and you want to get a degree in international business or economics or any of that kind of stuff, you'll probably take a class where you learn about this. If you want to come back and tell me, yeah, that's not what this is. You're kind of right, but here's what's really it. I'd appreciate that. But I really don't want to go look up the World Bank and the International Monetary. I'm really not interested in looking that up, so there we go. So that's good enough. Everybody cool? Yeah, we're done.
I got a political question for you.
I hope I can.
Do you put beans in chili?
No. But I'll eat beans. I love beans. They don't go in chili.
True Texan.
Did I tell you about my new recipe for black-eyed peas? Oh. I make good black-eyed peas. You get salt pork, and I found one of the greatest inventions in the world I've ever found is sliced salt pork. Because you can't ever cut it. It just tears. Because it's like the skin. Anyway. I put 5 slices in the bottom of the biggest pan we got. And I sear it. Sear them on both sides. Then you gotta soak them overnight. Then you put the water in the peas in there. No. Before you do that, you cut up onions. Cut up an onion, and slice it up, and then put it down in there, let it cook up in the grease for a while. This year, I added cilantro to it. Honey hush. Cilantro is the bacon of vegetables. I'll write that one down. And then some of y'all understand the language I'm talking about now. I'd never put cilantro in until this year. And I was at the grocery store and I was buying the stuff just to make sure I had it. I'm getting some cilantro. I went home and was talking to Colt. I said, Colt, I'm gonna try something I never tried. I was gonna make 2 pots. And I ended up doing that because I had too much. So I think I'm gonna make 1 pot with cilantro. And I actually said this, I'm really ashamed. I said, I'm kind of worried about how it's gonna turn out. And Colt kind of looked at me and said, you're right, that's stupid. Anything with cilantro is gonna be 10 times better. So I made, and it was so good. Gosh, it was so good. So, next, I know I'll make it during the year, but for sure, January 1st next year, if y'all want some great black-eyed peas, stop by the house, I'll have them made. Whole house will smell like cilantro black-eyed peas. That's an awesome, awesome smell for your house to have. Christy made cabbage soup one time. That is a horrific smell for your house to have. It's terrible. I'm gonna try some pinto beans with some cilantro coming up whenever we